Welcome to The Friday Habit with Benjamin Manley and Mark Labriola II.
The Friday Habit is for creators, entrepreneurs, and agency owners looking for actionable ideas on how to grow their business and be more profitable.
We'll pull from our combined knowledge of over 20 years and interview thought leaders that will inspire you and give you the motivation you need to kick your business into high gear. Buckle up. It's Friday. And how's everybody doing? Good.
Hey, Mark.
I hope, Ben,
I'm good.
you are doing well. You look great. It looks like that beard is getting ready for the fall and winter.
It is. Yeah, and actually, I'm technically, when you're listening to this, I'm probably out on the river kayaking since I'm not actually going to be here on Friday, so we're recording early as usual, and I'll be out on the water. So,
the best. Very peaceful and just kayaking. Is there like a particular river or something you kayak, or a lake?
There's a couple around here, but probably the Ty River is kind of close by here in near Lynchburg here in Virginia. And there's also the James River. It doesn't have as much, but Ty River's a nice spot nearby.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really good. Well, hey, man, I'm excited for our guest today.
Yeah, me too.
We have, Kayvan Kian, and he's actually wrote the best-selling book, What is Water? How Young Leaders Can Thrive in an Uncertain World. And Kayvan's book and his work as a consultant.
Wait, Mark, hold on a second. Wasn't it Kayvan? Kayvan? I think
Did I say
just asked.
Kayvan?
Yeah, it's
Kayvan. I don't know why I said Kayvan. Maybe it's like Keegan. But Kayvan's book and his work as a consultant with McKinsey seeks to show young leaders how to grow, how to thrive, and how to contribute in any situation. So, Kayvan, welcome to the Friday Habit.
Thank you so much, Mark and Ben. Great to be here.
Yeah, well, we're glad that you're here and just looking forward to a really great conversation. But before we get started, I have a question for you.
Oh, it's okay. Good. Get ready.
Would you rather travel the world for a year on a shoestring budget or stay in only one country for a year but live in luxury?
So I would even stay in one country on a shoestring budget, so that the thought of spending time in a place where I can actually get to know the people very well. I must say I've had the luxury of visiting many places around the world, but often it felt too short. Come in, work, and I thought, I want to see this, I want to speak with that person, and so forth. So the thought of actually spending more time in one place is something to look forward to.
In luxury, no less, right? So if you could stay at the Four Seasons and eat the finest meals, and that would be awesome. I think I'm with you. I think I'd rather stay in one place for a year, but live in luxury.
So from the different places you visited, Kayvan, where would you be like, oh man, I wish I could go back there and spend more time there?
I have many fond memories in so many places. The first time I moved to Singapore was the first time in Asia. Looking back, it was a very big deal. I must say the best times I did have in the US. For me as a kid visiting, you always had the books that were not out yet in the Netherlands, the movies that were not out yet. So it was always this new. I would spend so many hours in Barnes and Noble and all these places. So a bit nerdy answer, maybe.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's great.
That's awesome. Well, I would love for you to share just a little bit of your backstory, kind of, where you grew up, and what brought you to writing, your book, What is Water?
Yeah. So as I shared, I'm in Amsterdam. I was born in the Hague. One benefit is we're 2 hours closer to Friday than you are. So I think, or I don't know which city you're either in. So the weekend is coming closer. Though that doesn't say a lot, again, if you have your own business. And since recently I became a father as well.
Oh, congratulations.
So, yeah. every day is a fun day. Any day is a spontaneous day. So the old days of sleeping in on Saturday or other things seem very far away.
Yeah.
But mainly grew up here, but did have the chance to travel and also live briefly in different places. Indeed, from studying abroad to also spending time in North America. But I always felt this satisfaction and joy in either learning something new or creating something new. For me, creation is this magical thing that's happening all the time, and somehow being part of that is just very exciting. And whatever it is. So, and growing up and when I was studying, for me, I started my first startup. That was way before any kind of social media was popular or existed over here. I thought, oh, why don't we be the first social media company over here? Didn't work out the way I thought it would. Out of the blue, someone else showed up and they were, beat us to it. But I learned a lot. I got excited. I thought maybe I'll do some consulting as well to see more about what's out there. And who knows, I'll start a new company again. I did that, but I also felt this excitement of building something within a firm, a consulting firm. And this was the realization that we helped a lot of senior people, but what about the young leaders? What about the young founders? The combination of words of young and leader didn't really even exist 10 years ago. Nobody thought about that. And I thought there's a lot that at least I can learn, many of my clients can learn, and that started this whole process of building the Young Leaders Forum that ended up with, publishing the first book, second book that might come out, and so much more. So creating things that can be of help. Most of them are not successful in a way. I launched with a friend a Halloween cookbook. Didn't get much traction, but it was fun. Learned a lot. Launched a band. Was fun again, but some things do resonate much more.
Sounds like you and Ben have a lot in common. Ben is the jack of all trades. He's always into something new and has an idea about something. But I think that kind of makes life enjoyable and exciting too,
Yeah, I definitely identify with your love of learning, always being like, oh, there's something new to learn, or like creating things, on vacation. If I'm in the woods, I'll end up finding some sticks and start like making something out of it, or whatever it is. And I'm always in the middle of like too many projects, so I'm in the middle of like building a treehouse at the same time, trying to relaunch one of my brands, and there's like 3-4 big projects at the same time. It's like pretty normal for me, so there's always something half done all around me.
Well, sounds very fun. And kayaking, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah, I always feel like for me at least, the best part of something is the research. It's like when I get into something, it's like, oh, I want to learn all about it, and I want to research it, and I want to discover all these things about it, because then once it actually happens, like once it launches or once I buy the thing or have the experience, it's kind of like, oh, well, then it's over and it's done, but it's like that lead up to it, which is just, so exhilarating and enjoyable, at least for me.
Yeah, just discovering worlds opening up, maybe even thinking, hey, why didn't anybody tell me this earlier?
Right.
To wait decades. Yeah.
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 So with young leaders, you saw a hole in the market where, the words young leader were kind of an oxymoron. And so what did you see as far as that gap goes, that there were leaders who were young and then that they didn't have maybe the encouragement or the direction or the resources they need to be the best versions of themselves?
That's a good question. So what I enjoyed a lot working with, people my own age was this, youthful energy. There's this idealism. There's this vision of something better. There's this creativity. So I very much remember that phase that was there. But I also remember that at the same time, there was also this other side of overwhelm. I don't know how to do this. juggling maybe too many things at the same time. I don't have the authority. Who am I to take the lead? And I thought that was a big pity. It's one thing to have those doubts, but it even went all the way to people quitting or saying, this is not for me. And that's just way too early. Good things come out this youthful idea and energy and all of that is there. And I noticed also very quickly that things that had helped me in the past to cope with, challenging situations, reading from ancient philosophers, putting these ideas into practice, all of a sudden many of the clients said, aside from the problem at hand, I'd be interested, how do you do this? Or how should I think about my role? Or what makes me as this leader? I don't want to be like my other colleague over here. I got bad news. How do I think this through? But I have no time or interest to read all those books that you enjoy reading apparently over the weekend. I want to have other fun things to do. So we would start with, a 5-minute mini lecture, a lunch conversation, a Friday afternoon, like you, doing something that is out of the ordinary. And that added up. And I thought, why all these snippets with, individuals? Why not have 2 full days with a group? Why not have months of coming back and helping each other and doing all these things? And that's how it started. I must say, it grew much faster than I had expected. It was started in Amsterdam, went through Germany, Scandinavia, North America, all the way to Australia, Latin, Africa, Middle East. And I realized this is not a local challenge. It's something almost universal that many young leaders are struggling with.
Yeah. So, how does, because I definitely feel like, in my career, there's been so many times where I kind of always just felt like a kid, like you always feel like a kid, when you're around adults and, how do you overcome that sense of feeling that, that you're not grown up or that there's probably more wise and older people out there who, can make better decisions than me, or do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one way is to just wait until you're that old and wise person, because life, of course, will teach you the hard way, one way or the other, all these lessons. And the attempt, at least that I tried, was to see, can you fast track that somehow, some way? Can you feel that same confidence, not because maybe you went through all those things, but can you learn from people before you? From one generation before you, 2 generations, but maybe from the ancient Romans, the Greeks. These are challenges we've all been facing. And this is not about just pretending that, just do it and we'll see what happens. The odds might not be in your favor. That can feel that high will quickly wear off maybe in a few days or weeks. But this is some genuine confidence that you build. Hey, how would maybe Aristotle look at this difficult situation? Okay, now I think I know how to better cope with it. What would Nietzsche say in a certain moment like this? What would someone else say? So to answering your question, it's drawing from all of that. It takes some investment, but it's also not, I would say, very complicated. I try to bring things in a simple, accessible way. You don't need any background in philosophy or history. Practical tools that you can use, and those doubts will naturally leave. Then you have the best of both worlds in a way, right? You have the wisdom of the old and the energy of the young.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love to know more. Your book to me looks super interesting. So I don't know if you could maybe walk us through some of the stuff that you cover in your book, What is Water? And maybe some of our audience also might be interested in picking it up too. But I'd love to just kind of know a little bit more about, the tagline is how young leaders can thrive in an uncertain world. So I was wondering if you could walk us through some of the concepts you cover in your book and some of the things that you find that have helped people, overcome that uncertainty.
Yeah. I'll gladly do. And the book has bin filtered by all those people. So it's not a very big, thick book. It's actually
Yeah.
anything that somebody couldn't use or apply didn't make it. So this is every single page. Hopefully,
That's awesome.
You can immediately do something with it. Yeah,
That's a good idea.
so many filters went through this, and it starts with the idea of this ancient story that has been also very popularized by the famous commencement speech by David Foster Wallace. There are different variations of this, of fish not knowing what water is because it's just too close to their eyes. They're too immersed in it. Just like birds might not know what air is. It doesn't cross their mind that it is a thing. And the idea of the whole book is becoming better aware of all those things that are so close that you don't recognize or see them.
Okay.
So becoming better aware of your context, a world that feels more volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, you can name it. This sense that, hey, there's something difficult, challenging over here. And then asking, what are all the ways that people thrive through a challenging context like this, in these turbulent waters? You cannot ignore it. You cannot just close your eyes and wish for the best. Like running through a jungle blindfolded, right? There's this chance that bad things will happen, or you won't make it where you want to go.
Yep.
And then it becomes becoming aware of these mindsets and skills and things that you can use immediately, but just shedding some light on them. What is within your control and what matters? Now, the things that matter and have helped people thrive through the most difficult of times are things like having a sense of meaning. Nietzsche says, those who have a why can bear almost any how. Of course, not anyhow, but almost, let's say, is good enough for today. And that sounds, of course, inspiring, at least to me and many others. But the question, of course, comes, okay, but how do I do this? Now what? How do I infuse this moment with meaning in a difficult conversation with my team or when the business is not going well? And the book helps you with practical ways of thinking, creating awareness of understanding, what am I contributing to? What are bad things am I maybe preventing? This could be for society. This could be for your learning. This could be building your character. This could be for your family. This could be for your organization. This could be something metaphysical. But all of a sudden realizing all these different angles of how your work is contributing to something larger than yourself can completely change that experience of that difficult moment and actually make it something worthwhile, something you would not want to have any other way. So that's one theme. And there are themes around protecting a sense of positivity, because if you just leave that to chance, you might be overflooded with negativity, with news, with customer complaints, with colleagues that are annoyed because you maybe have done something. Like there's so many things that can cause a lot of noise. Where does that leave you, right? Without a filter, without protecting that positivity, and how do you do that? There's an important thing around your natural strengths, your talents, things that are always within your control. No one can take them away from you. But how well do you know yourself? What gives you energy? What are you good at? But also, what are you good at but drains your energy? And how do you make sure you don't mistake one for the other? What are things you're not good at but give you energy? So that maybe you want to have fun with them, play with them, invest in them, develop them. So again, the book just sheds light on these different themes. So you have more awareness, and more awareness brings more choice. And choice is the best antidote against a sense of overwhelm. Right? It's the best way to get empowered by knowing there's always something within my control. And there are all these things that help me thrive.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big deal. I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of people come and go from my industry, at least, because they couldn't handle the pressure, or it got too stressful, and it was one of those things where the overwhelm kind of took them over, and then they just decided to give up, And I think a lot of it is having those tools so that you know how to deal with those situations in order to push through. And I say this all the time. It's like there's been so many times where I've been right to the breaking point, but because I didn't give up, I found success, like on the other side of that. And so, yeah, I think that there's a lot of people out there who, need to, figure out how to find those things within themselves in order to kind of thrive and grow and have success. So, the other thing I wanted to kind of chat with you about is, I read an article that you wrote about, making sound choices. And I think choices, especially as a business owner, are always, we're always being bombarded with choices like, should I do this or should I not do this? Should I, spend more money to try to grow the business, or should I just allow, the business to grow organically? Should I hire more staff, or should I, be content with where I am at as far as growth wise? And so, what are your thoughts about, making better choices, and how do we discern that? How do we make better choices, and how do we figure out how to make better choices?
What a beautiful question, and very relatable, especially since the pandemic started. The crystal clear ball was much less crystal clear. All of a sudden, do you discontinue certain work? Do you pause it? Do you rearrange? Do you digitize or not? But also privately, do you move to a new location or not? There's so many choices, and many people are overwhelmed. Now, the main thing that is often missing, in my view, and that's something that at least I enjoy thinking a lot about, is understanding, even based on which criteria are you measuring these choices. And often there are many things missing, or people say, I've never thought about it. The implicit often is, a very economic one, right? Which criteria, what makes more money? But again, is it in the short term? Is it the long term? How do you look at this? And sometimes you're confronted with a situation that you have no clue. You cannot quantify this decision in a genuine way that can convince yourself. Right? You can always tag some numbers and say this is a rough estimate, but who are you trying to convince here? Now, what do you do when you don't have that anchor, so to speak? Then looking in the past and thinking about all these wise people that were there before us, and understanding their very valid and very different criteria. So one could be around your values. What's important to you in life? How do you want to have made these decisions? And values, per definition, means you find it so important you're willing to pay a price for it. So you might even decide to take an economic hit, but at least you took a decision to, provide for the people you work for, or invest in things around your community, because that's how you want to live. That's the person you want to be. A completely different criteria could be coming maybe from someone like Nietzsche, who asks you, what do you want? Imagine this moment will repeat itself forever, infinitely, the eternal recurrence. How proud would you be of the things that you do? Would you be bored to death? Would you be excited? So forget everything. Just go for your desire, your want, your will. What do you want to do? Well, that can of course bring you into a lot of problems as well, and you have to see, is that how much you would want it or not? But also a question that is not often asked. You want to launch a product. Okay, who cares if it's not successful, right? Nobody has 100% success rate with all these things. But if you want to, you always want to be part of it. This is exciting, right? You can go for it. Another angle to look at it is very much around what you want to prevent. For instance, not only the intended consequences, but thinking through about your unintended consequences. Your good intentions might be making a lot of stuff worse. You want to help people who might be better off with you not trying in the first place. And you can be actively getting in some other people's way. So thinking one step beyond the decisions that you're making over there. Another criteria, so you can go on and on through these different angles. I don't want to go through all of them maybe, but the next book that's coming out is only about this. It's what would all these different people advise me? And then something hopefully clicks and you say, okay, I cannot quantify it, but this is the path I'm willing to go for.
Yeah, it's kind of something you just feel internally that, and I think that's what the thing, especially with the Friday habit, right? The idea is like always consuming and always learning something new, but then at the same time taking action on that and not just learning something new. But what I feel is that if you don't put yourself in learning something new or educating yourself or being inspired, then it leaves room for you to not, take action on anything because no new inputs are coming in. And so, I find that by, putting in, reading or researching or watching a YouTube video or something like that, it inspires me to have an idea, and so, yeah, I think that, I think it's very fascinating. I'll be interested to see that next book and gain some wisdom from it. So
I'll gladly gift you a copy. The title is "What is Wisdom?" So it tries to explore on that. Yeah.
All right, we're going to pause this conversation here. Go to thefridayhabit.com. There you can find show notes for this episode. There you can also find links to our websites and ways to get in touch. At the bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit System that will show you how to set aside one full day each week dedicated to working on your business instead of in your business. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear next week's episode, subscribe so you get notified. Also, leave us a review in Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you want to potentially be on one of our episodes with a question you ask us, go ahead and record a quick message in your phone, voice memo, and email it to hello@thefridayhabit.com. Until next time, live every day like it's Friday.